All right, thank you for being here. Today is the third and the last artist that is doing a workshop and a presentation here to be considered for the full-time professor forum at our department. Last Wednesday, we had Cayetano Ferrer. On Monday, we had Chandler McWilliams, and I'm pleased to introduce our artist for today, Noa Kaplan.
Right. First, I just want to thank Henry and the rest of the search committee for inviting me to share my work with you today. My practice is driven by a critical curiosity for emerging technologies, a deep fascination with material behaviors and processes and how these intersect with personal experience. I feel particularly aligned with process philosophy and new materialism, which uphold embeddedness, interconnectedness, and the inevitability of change. And these fields emphasize situated knowledge, an analysis of systems of power, respect for the agency of non-living matter, and the phenomenon of emergence, an ability to think at multiple scales, from microcosms to the planetary, and a willingness to face decay, loss, death, and grief as part of an overall affirmation of life. Rossi Braidotti, one of the formative thinkers of new materialism, explains that the issue of the relationship between the material and the maternal was essential for her generation. She always traces a genealogy of feminist thinkers who set up the conditions for this discourse, including Simone de Beauvoir, Sylvia Wynter, Luce Irigaray, Donna Haraway, Michelle Perot, and countless others who advanced non-dualist models. I feel particularly connected with Braidotti's gesture because one of my projects was to document my own matrilineage. Just before she died, my great-grandmother gave a suitcase to her companion and asked her to burn it. Instead, her companion gave it to my grandmother, and inside, she discovered countless photographs, documents, and personal writings that revealed a secret history of my family. And I was really intrigued by this mysterious story of a collection that should have been destroyed. So in 2015, I decided to spend the year really going through this collection and understanding what was contained in that suitcase and why it had been hidden and secreted away for so long. In the process, I discovered that I come from 6 generations of single mothers, something that I didn't realize before then. Those living before World War II had gone to great lengths to hide both the fact that they didn't have husbands and the fact that they were Jewish, going so far as to forge many documents, including false baptisms and other paperwork. At the time, structural injustice made it so that in order to limit stigma related to gender and ethnicity, they actually had to hide their true identities. So over the course of that year, I scanned all of those documents and images and interviewed the women in my family, piecing together those stories that had been hidden for so long. And the project took the form of a digital archive and a series of books. So despite cultural expectations, the women in my family lived incredible, daring, fascinating lives. One was an early photographer. This is a photograph that she took of the Prime Minister of France hiding in caves in southern France during World War II. She was also a resistance fighter during the Holocaust, as well as my grandmother. Another was a psychologist and a civil rights activist. And because of changing discourse, I'm the first generation that feels unencumbered admiration for the women in my family and for all of their accomplishments. The fact that they led independent lives and raised families and had a real impact on their communities, even in times of violence and upheaval. Their intergenerational struggles and successes really form the context for why I'm interested in themes of oppression, loss, resilience, labor, and embodiment. If you aren't familiar with these and stole her